Hi everyone, let me introduce myself. My name is Clarissa Nadia. I'm a student of English Diploma at Diponegoro University, and now I will present you my proposal entitled Making English Labels in Ranggawarsita Museum. Chapter 1 Introduction 1.1 Background of the study. I put the meaning of educational tourism based on Brent Ritchie in the first paragraph. And then I put the general understanding of the museum and its basics in the second paragraph. Next, I began to explain the Ranggawarsita Museum in the fourth paragraph. And finally, I explained the basis of the problem and the reason why this proposal was made. According to TripAdvisor website, some foreigners that complained in there said that this museum made just for Indonesian, not for foreigner, because from the object itself, there is no explanation in English. They do not know almost everything in this museum. So the solution is to make label in English for every object. Next, 1.2 Aims and Advantages. The aims of this proposal is to make this museum not only for locals but also for foreigners, to help students learn English while they also learn history in this museum. And then the advantages of this proposal is to attract foreigners to come and also could make a good rating among all museums in Indonesia. Next, 1.3 Methods of collecting data. The first method is observation. In here, I put the definition of observation according to Marshall and Rosman, also Gorman and Clayton. And then I explained that the way to use this method is to gathering and learn every data that available in this museum. Knowing every Indonesian label and learn the meaning of every word is an important thing to do before translating it. Second method is document analysis. I put the definition according to Bowen and O'Leary. And then I explained that the documents that are analyzed not only documents from Ranggawarsita Museum, but also from other museums in Indonesia that can be accessed on Google. If the object's label has been translated already in other museums, then we do not have to translate them repeatedly. Research and development or R&D. I put the definition according to Sugiono and Cole. Based on what Cole said, there are 10 steps of R&D, but I will only use 8 steps. 1. Research and information collecting. This step basically is gathering every data in Ranggawarsita Museum. This means to collect all Indonesia labels in Ranggawarsita Museum and learn the meaning in every word. After that, analyze every document in Ranggawarsita Museum and other museums in Indonesia if necessary to prevent futile translation in case other museum has the same object and has been translated. 2. Planning. It's to determine every objectives that will achieved at each stage. 3. Develop preliminary form of product. This step needs preparation of supporting components and preparing guidelines and manuals. In this case, the supporting components that the writer going to need is CAT tools. This software will help the writer to translate a better description of every object. 4. Preliminary field testing. This step is to study every data and document that have been collected in the first step. 5. Main field testing. This step is the stage where the trials are carried out. After every data has been collected, the writer will translate every object one by one, and if there is an object that has been translated in other museum, the writer will rewrite the translation result. 6. Operational product revision. This step means to check every labels that have been translated. If there are any mistakes in the translation, the writer must immediately correct the translation. 7. Product revision. If the writer feels like everything is perfect, the writer should ask someone or more people to see and double-check the result. This is to make sure there is no mistake when the label put along the subject. And the final step is dissemination and implementation. This is the end of the steps when the writer distributes all the results of her translation to be assembled on every object in the museum. Chapter 3. Literature Review. 2.1. Definition of museum. In here, I put the definition of museum according to International Council of Museum. And then I put 12 functions of museum. There are collection, storage, preservation and conservation, documentation, research, exhibition, security, education and knowledge dissemination, publication, public services and organizing activities, outreach activities and or community service, lecture, seminar, and workshop. Ranggawarsita Museum itself already fulfilled these 12 functions that every museum should. However, this museum still lack of one thing, which is international education and knowledge dissemination. Ranggawarsita has the education and knowledge dissemination, but it doesn't have the international one. So that is why exactly the writer make this proposal. Point 2 is definition of museum label. I put the definition of museum label but according to Jatim Museum. And Jatim Museum say that museum label should A. Foster curiosity about the object on display, B. Provide guidance for looking closely and seeing critically, C. Help visitors access information that increases understanding, and D. Offer a more meaningful experience in front of a work of art. Like what Jatim Museum said, museum label should help visitors to access information that increases understanding. Ranggawarsita Museum has this quality, but this museum only helps local visitors and doesn't help the foreigners because there are no English label. Therefore, the writer made this proposal in order to help the foreigner to learn and understand the information of every object in this museum. 2.3 Definition of translating museum label. In here, I put the meaning of translation according to Catford, Newmark, and Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Most museum labels usually translated by a professional translator. Some mistyped words still could be found on the label collections. Should be a concern and an alertness when translating because the mistype can lead the readers of target language misunderstand and become confused. There must be some label checking before they are ready to be put along the objects in the display space. That is why the writer will double check everything, so there is no mistake in the end. Next is references. This is all the research of the writer. The writer searched everything in the internet and the writer put everything in the references. I think that's all. Thank you for your attention.